Hello, great day everyone. Welcome. You're watching Liberate Yourself from Chronic Pain. My name is Stephen Simon, and I'm gonna continue with the sickle cell series here. And so today I'm gonna be speaking about what are the symptoms of sickle cell anemia. And I thought long and hard about this. I've come up with 9 of them. And so if I'm missing any, feel free to jump in the comments and lay down some of the symptoms that you think I might have missed. And your participation is always welcome. So thank you. Before I start there, I want to give 2 shout outs to new subscribers of the channel. And so the first shout out goes out to God's Hidden Warriors. I love that name, God's Hidden Warriors. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. I'm not sure how you found me, but I do appreciate your questions and your participation into the videos. The second shout out goes to Nia Curtis. So Nisha Curtis. Sorry, I apologize. Nisha Curtis. Nisha also has her own YouTube channel, and so her channel is called A Part of Nia. So go out there and check it out. She has a video on her blood exchange slash transfusion. It's the phlebotomy sickle cell vlog is what her channel is on, and I actually spoke to her over the phone. She has a lot of interesting videos up and coming, so you definitely want to check that out. So go ahead and check out Nisha's Part of Nia. All right, so now what are the symptoms of sickle cell anemia? Okay, so now before I continue or start, I just want to say that virtually all of the major symptoms of sickle cell anemia are a direct result of the abnormal shape, the sickle cell shape of the red blood cell, which is blocking the blood flow that circulates through the tissues of the body, right? And I did an example of that earlier on one of my videos. I can't remember the title of it, but I'll show you again quickly here. A regular normal blood cell would be like a circle shape like that, and a abnormal shape would be like a crescent, like a half a moon shape, right? Like that, okay? And then those are the abnormal shapes, and when they kind of stick together when they're not getting enough oxygen to flow through the blood vessels. So that's what I'm saying there. Now, most of the major symptoms of sickle cell anemia are a direct result of this right here. Okay, so as I go through the examples of the symptoms, keep that in mind because I will be mentioning it a few times as well. Okay, now the tissues, with impaired circulation, they suffer damage from lack of oxygen, okay? And damage to the tissues and organs of the body can cause severe disability in people with sickle cell anemia, okay? And, this causes people to endure painful episodes of severe and frequent sickle cell crisis. That's what happens. It's called a sickle cell crisis. Most times you end up in hospital, and the very first thing they're going to give you is oxygen, okay, so that the blood can start to flow because it's lacking oxygen. That's the very first thing, okay? And so now let's continue. So the first thing I thought of, and I personally feel this quite a lot in my own personal life, is fatigue. And so fatigue, it's extreme tiredness. It's resulting from either mental or physical exertion. And with physical exertion, it can also trigger a sickle cell crisis. Okay, now anemia, because we're talking about sickle cell anemia here, is a condition marked by deficiency of red blood cells or of the hemoglobin in the blood, resulting in weariness, so tiredness. Okay, now normally red blood cells deliver oxygen to different cells of the body so that the cells can have enough energy, right, to do their activities in the body, right? It's throughout the body. Now, when there's a disease that affects the red blood cells, various organs inside the body cannot get enough energy. Various organs inside the body can't get the energy that they need, and as a result, we feel tired and exhausted all the time, right? And we, generally won't be able to do all our normal daily activities, unless it's like urgent, like you have to go. If you plan a evening out, for example, you plan an evening out with friends, and you just feel exhausted. You may have had the whole day off and you just feel exhausted. You still can't go, and this is fatigue is just happening in the body. You generally won't get up unless it's urgent, like work. Like you got to get to work. If you don't go to work, then you don't get paid, and the bills and your shelter doesn't get paid, right? So if there's a direct consequence to it, that you have to go. You're gonna go regardless of how fatigued that you're feeling. Now, fatigue isn't specific to sickle cell anemia, right? But it can occur in other types of anemia as well, and as well as numerous other conditions. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second symptom, the most obvious one, also is a pain crisis, right? So when this happens back here, it develops into a pain crisis. And in the event of a sickle cell attack in which a person is experiencing that pain, it's extremely severe. One, it's uncontrollable also, and it starts from like 0 to 100, like that. 0 to 100. You'll be fine 1 minute, and the next minute you're just in pain, extreme pain in the joints. Could be your arms, your legs, your back, wherever, but it just starts like a blink of an eye, and all of a sudden it increases. What causes the pain in the sickle cell crisis, again, is the blood vessel becoming blocked or defective in the red blood cells, which can create damage in the organs in the body. So it's something that we need to be careful of as well. Now, a person with sickle cell disease can become more likely also to get infections because of the damaged cells eventually clog the spleen. And I believe I spoke about the spleen in one of the other videos, so if you missed that, you want to go back and check that out. Okay, now, so the third thing, I'm going to kind of speed up a bit because we're almost into like 9 minutes of video, but these are very important symptoms, and I want to get them all to you without making the video too long. Okay, so the next thing is swelling and inflammation. It could be in the hands or your feet, and let's see here. What is swelling is actually one of the earliest signs of the disease, especially like in an infant, right? Now, infant can't speak to say, they're hurting, they're in pain, they cry. But most times when a baby cries, we don't know what they're crying for. Either they need to be changed or they're hungry, right? If you're a parent, then you know this. If not, well, now you know. Okay. But this is one of the earliest signs, and it usually occurs, in children, as early as up to 5 to 6 months. Okay. The swelling occurs in the fingers and in the toes, and it's rarely seen in children over 2 years old, actually. But again, the vessels of the fingers and toes tend to be small, so it's easy for the abnormal, this right here again, the abnormal shaped red blood cells, to come together and close up the vessels, causing blockage in through the blood and through the blood supply, and that leads to what's called bone death, and that bone death is called avascular necrosis. Now, I didn't learn about avascular necrosis until probably late into I'm 42 right now, probably my late 30s. And then I realized I'm having this bone death in my shoulders and my hips, and that's what leads to me having these surgeries in those joints of mine. So let's continue on to another very important thing here. Number 4 is jaundice. Okay, your eyes. Okay, I don't know if you can see clearly in my eyes, but they should be white. Sometimes they turn yellow, okay, or even red, but yellow. The yellowish tint in the eyes here is called jaundice. Now, this is when your skin, and like if I was white, you could kind of see it more, but I'm kind of dark here, so you probably won't see it too tough. But not only black people get sickle cell, so boom. If your skin and white part of your eyes turn a yellowish shade, then that's the jaundice. But the typical life, and this happens because the lifespan of a healthy red blood cell lives around 120 days. But with people that have sickle cell anemia, the lifespan of that blood cell, which is not healthy, right, is much shorter. Okay, much shorter. So when a blood cell dies, it gives off this substance called, and I'm probably not pronouncing it right, but it's called bilirubin. Okay, bilirubin, bilirubin. Okay, now increased destruction in a vast number of red blood cells. So like when your blood cells are dying on a regular basis, that can result in an increased level, because each time the blood cell dies, it gives off this substance, so an increased level of the bilirubin in the blood, and that's when that release is released, it reaches a certain threshold, right? And that threshold causes the skin to turn yellow and the whites of your eyes like a yellowish shade. I don't know if you ever go into like a senior's home, and you'll see their skin, again, on white people you could see it more. Their skin is like a yellowish, it's not white anymore, it's yellow. It's real, and it's like on my walls, it's really yellow. You can't miss it. You'll know, and that's jaundice. Okay, now I kind of already went into the pain, but I want to break it down a little bit, okay? Because, a child or a person who has sickle cell anemia can experience, there's 2 types of pain, okay? And there's that acute pain and then the chronic pain. Now, acute pain starts suddenly and unexpectedly without any type of warning. And the chronic pain, it'll start gradually and increases immensely. Like, you'll have a little pain in your wrist here, and within an hour or so, that pain just is unbearable. Believe me, I know I felt it, and I know you know what I'm talking about too. If you can relate and you've experienced any of this pain, give this video a like and share. Please give this video a like and share, okay? If you felt the sickle cell pain. Now, acute pain is usually felt, again, in the arms or legs or lower back, and it's caused, again, by, boom, what is it? The obstruction of the blood flow, okay, of, the sickled crescent red blood cells, okay? And again, this is known as, I guess it's called vaso-occlusive crisis. Occlusive means it's stopped. It's this right here, it's stopped. It's come together and it's closed. It's not moving, it's not flowing, it's just stuck. So if the episodes of this crisis keep occurring over and over again, this can also lead to permanent damage in the body or in the organs of the body, okay? And on the other hand, okay, now the chronic pain is usually severe and prevents, people from having a healthy lifestyle. The chronic pain, you're always in pain from morning till night, to morning to night, daily, your every move. And who wouldn't have, you're restricted to daily activities and stuff. It will affect your lifestyle. It does affect it, okay? But you got to fight it and manage that pain, and that's what this channel is all about. It's managing your chronic pain and fighting it, and it comes through your diet, your mental health, your attitude, and your health is your wealth. Your health is your wealth. I have that here on the board too. Health is your wealth. It's your mental, your emotional, your physical, your financial, and your spiritual health. Health is your wealth. Okay, let's move along to number 6, which is infections. And infections, people with sickle cell anemia, they're more likely to catch an illness than a healthy child, right? And this is because of how the sickle cell disease affects the spleen. Okay, so actually this, again, the spleen is just something that when I was younger, that's the first thing that they always checked. The doctors wanted to feel my spleen, but I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. So typically your spleen helps filter bacteria from the blood, okay? So when the spleen doesn't function correctly, the filtering action is lost, and it's easier for bacteria to get infected, especially in children. And type of infections that you would get sort of is for example would be like influenza type B, which is like inflammation in the lungs. Okay, now yeah, it's not really good. But back to the spleen, I was like a a learning tool for medical students when I was young. Okay, in before I was a teenager, maybe 10 years old, 8 years old, all the doctors would come in with their medical students and have them all feel my spleen, which is located on the left side under the rib cage, just up here, sort of thing like that. And you could sort of feel it. It was enlarged, and all the doctors would come in and feel that to see, again, the spleen helps filter bacteria from the blood. You don't want bacteria in your blood. It's not a good thing, okay? Again, it leads to infections, and I just spoke of, well, that's the whole part of it. The next thing we're moving along is, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments. Give this video a like and share. Number 7 is the acute chest syndrome. Okay, we'll call it that. Now, pain in the chest, difficulty breathing, and let's say constant coughing are all symptoms that characterize this syndrome, right? Acute chest syndrome. It occurs, due to our immunization, because our immunity is kind of low with people that have sickle cell anemia. So it's easy for bacteria to reach inside of the lungs, and as I said, it can cause inflammation of the lung tissue, and this inflammation reduces, again, the oxygen supply. The oxygen supply, and causes the red blood cells to become sickled, right, into that crescent shape once again. So therefore they lose their ability to carry the oxygen, and the cycle just repeats itself over and over and over, right? And that's what causes the pain. It's not getting enough oxygen, and even chest syndrome I was having. I'll give you a story here. A few years back, I was having a lot of chest pain, and yes, it is a sickle cell. It's a symptom of my sickle cell. So, and I know that. So, taking a deep breath would hurt, and I breathe in. That would hurt. Breathing out would hurt. And I went to the hospital, and it turned out to be I had an infection. Okay, and that infection turned out to be pneumonia. That means I had fluid in my lungs, and they had to drain it right here. They put a tube through my lungs right there, and I'm awake for this. I'm not sleeping. They probably still have like a mark here still. They put a tube through my lungs here, right through my rib cage here, and I'm telling you, that hurts like, oof, hurts. But I had an infection. So any type of symptom that you get, you have to react to it. Like, don't wait. Don't think you can deal with it at home. Go straight to emergency if you need to. Okay, it's very important that you do that. All right. Now, another symptom that I had happened to me, and this is number 8, is a leg ulcer. Okay, now a leg ulcer is a break, in the skin, right? It occurs like in the lining of the leg. It's actually common amongst people with sickle cell, which I did not know that. I actually learned that doing my research here. Talking to many other people I know with sickle cell, no one has ever told me that they had it, but apparently doing my research, it's common. Now, it's less likely to occur in children under 10, because I know when I got it, I was 14. I remember that. I'll never forget that. I was 14. Okay, so it's less likely to occur in children under the age of 10. But so the ulcer, is more likely to be present in the area of a area where the thin skin and a small amount of fat. So the most common size or site for this to happen is the ankle, like on the inner side of your leg of the ankle. I don't know if I could show you that here, but it's the inner side of the ankle. So the ulcer is usually small at first too. It's really small, like and it'll eventually gradually grow and get bigger. Now for me, when I got it, I think I was already in the hospital, and I know I woke up, I was having pain. My grandmother did not believe me. She told me, you still have to go to school today. And I went to the bathroom to get ready, and I believe I just collapsed in the bathroom, and they had to help me up, carry me back to bed, and then eventually took me to the hospital, and turned out I had meningitis. Okay, another infection. I had meningitis, and then this leg ulcer started to grow in my leg. I had to get an operation to remove it, and I'm gonna show you. I'm really gonna show you here, but it happened in my in my left leg here. I don't know if you can see it, but you know, right here is where they had to do the operation, and it's kind of faded because it's been some time, but right here, these two things right there is where I had leg the ulcers. Okay, so this is very, very serious, and it can be very painful as well. Okay, it's very serious. Now, the last thing, the last symptom is again, your eyes. Okay, your eyes and your heart. Every year I get an annual checkup, and you know, they want to make sure that everything's okay, but your eyes and your heart need to be monitored on an annual basis. Okay, so you get to a hematologist and make sure that everything was okay. Now, sickle cell, again, you know, the blood cells, this disease affects the blood in all areas of the body. All vessels where there's blood in your body, it is affected, and that means your heart and your eyes are included as well. Okay, so it can affect your vision, as the red blood cells, you know, inside of your eyes, how do you say it? The blood cells inside your eyes come together in the vessels there and can cause blockage or bleeding. So same thing, this right here, it can, you know, it can come together, the cells come together, and it causes blockage because they're sickled, they're sticky, the cells are sticky, they're not moving, and they come together, and you know, that could even lead to loss of vision. Okay, and what happens is the retina inside your eye, right? The retina is the small pupil part inside your eye there. That can separate from the layer beneath and detach from its normal position. I don't know, you know, how to describe it well, but it can detach from its normal position, and that can cause you know, loss of your eyesight, vision loss. And on the other hand, you know, some people tend to undergo or have a lot of you know, repeated blood transfusions or blood exchanges, and each time they do that, you know, you're adding iron into your bloodstream, and, you know, and your body's fragile, so that excess amount of iron could actually lead to heart damage. Okay, and that we don't want. You know, anything that affects your heart, you automatically know it can be fatal. Okay, so these are the 9 symptoms of sickle cell anemia. I hope you guys enjoyed it and you got some value from here. Give me a like and a thumbs up, and share this video if you learned something today. Again, my name is Stephen Simon. You're watching Liberate Yourself from Chronic Pain. I love you. I appreciate you for watching. Thank you very much.